Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations, you've made it to the end of another working week. Give yourselves a huge pat on the back as you head home from work, or you do your evening meal, or you do whatever you're doing today, especially if you had a day off. Good for you. Well done. Few hobby nightmares today. I'm going to try and... I've noticed that these videos are creeping up in length, so I'm just going to try and, model them back down again to make sure that we can have some shorter videos. I'm not going to be giving you so much to think about all of the time. So, first of all, let me put my image up there. You've got that. Let's have a little look at our hobby nightmares, shall we? It'd help if I had them up when I started, wouldn't it? Because clearly my brain is working today. Alright, so our first one is from Eleron, or Eleron. Thank you very much for sending some stuff in. He says, "Hey Exile, been a listener of your channel for a while now. I really love hearing all of the stories, and the work you do for the community is stellar. Thank you so much." Thank you very much, mate. On that subject, if you guys would like to get involved in the work we do for the community, please head on over to the Discord. It is full of amazing people, and it's free. We don't charge for it, right? You don't need to be a Patreon. That's the most common thing I get on emails and in messages is, can I join the Discord without being a Patreon? Yes, you can. Listen, if everybody on my Discord was a patron, I would be able to quit my job. So, yeah, don't worry about it. Just come and join the Discord. On the subject of Patreon, if you guys would like to be a patron, that'd be very much appreciated as well. Or become a member of the channel. We are doing a prize draw this weekend. It might be tomorrow, it might be Sunday. It might even be Bank Holiday Monday, because I have a lot of family things going on this weekend, and I didn't realise it was Bank Holiday. But one day this weekend, we'll be doing a prize draw. If you are a Patreon member, or if you are a member of the channel on YouTube, then you will be entered into that prize draw, where you have 2 chances to win £50 worth of models from Games Workshop. Well, from Composite Games. Basically Games Workshop, you know what I mean. So, Eleron says, "I wanted to share the time I got in trouble for using terrain I wasn't supposed to." Okay. "Back when I was at college, I was part of a tabletop club. Technically, there is no club terrain. It's one guy who brings his stuff for us to use. One of the club's founders, in fact. One evening, he couldn't make the meetings, and there was nothing for us. There was no terrain for us 4 who showed up to use. Okay. That's when I had a bright idea. You see, during the summer, I was a student worker. One of my tasks was to sort through and organise student work to get stuff ready for accreditation and throw out stuff that couldn't be used. I should point out that I was an architecture student, and some of the work were models of projects they worked on. Okay, cool. So, we go into the architecture building, and while my friends get some tables together downstairs, I punched in the combination, go into the room where we store it all, and find a pile of stuff that looks like it's ready to be thrown out. Thinking we scored, I grab some pieces, carefully put them in an empty box, and head out. I was almost in the clear when a professor I don't recognise just happens to stroll by and asks what I'm doing. It's a deer in the headlights moment, as I should have asked for permission, but no one was around while I checked earlier, and we needed to get started soon. I somehow managed to explain that we're just borrowing it for a game, that we'll be using it downstairs, and we'll be putting it back when we were done. They seemed to believe me and just let me go. Wow, that's cool of them. Later on, as we start rolling dice, the professor who was in charge of the stuff in the room comes by to see what we're up to. Thankfully, not only does he recognise me, his son also plays 40k, so he instantly knew what was going on. He explained that the project models I'd found were not going to be thrown out and were still needed. Thankfully, we all had a bit of a laugh. We finished our games, returned the stuff unharmed, and while I didn't get into any trouble, I got super lucky as I put myself in a stupid situation. Hope you enjoy this one. I got a few other interesting ones, and take care, man. Yeah, send them in. That could have gotten you into a lot of trouble, yeah. As far as I know, universities take a very dim view of people taking stuff out of stock rooms without anyone's permission. Especially if that stuff's going to be used for grading. That is, I can only imagine that lecturer went upstairs into that room where you took the stuff out, saw that stuff was missing from the pile we're going to use, and immediately crapped themselves. But yeah, universities, man, what are you going to do? Natna returns. He does have one or two more episodes, so I'm going to read them all. These are all from his time as a Games Workshop manager. If you don't know who Natner is, he's a former GW manager who frequents our channel and comes in to give us some stories of his time working for the company from time to time. Anyway, Natner says, "Hi Exile of the North. Figured with all the possible Games Workshop stories, I'd share some related to interviews. My own first, and then when I had to help run some." Oh yeah, GW interviews are a... Well, it depends who's in the interview. I've noticed, you know, when I got my interview for GW to be staff member, the manager that I was going to work for was looking down his nose at me quite a lot and treating me like I was a piece of crap, essentially. Whereas the actual recruitment guy, Nick, really nice guy. He's in a lot of videos, I think, but I don't really watch them anymore because I get flashbacks. But yeah, he's a really nice guy, and he coached me through the interview, and it was fine. In a weird way, I shouldn't have taken that job knowing how the manager acted in the interview. Really put me off. But I took it anyway because I just wanted to work for the company. But yeah, it just goes to show, if you're getting a bad juju from somebody in an interview, don't go work for the company. You know, even if you really want to work for them. Because that's likely the person you're going to be working for, and it's going to suck. Anyway, Natner says, "When I was chosen to interview for Games Workshop, I had come to the regional flagship store. This was probably 50 to 60 minutes away, through traffic. There are a large group of candidates from all walks of life were assembled outside. Burnouts, smelly nerds, yoga mums, you name it. They were probably represented there. A GW manager greeted us and began to discuss our vague prospects of the job before another manager appeared and began singling people out. He'd ask them inane questions, things like, 'Tell me why red goes faster,' or 'What's a space marine?' It felt like he'd purposefully target people in the group who wouldn't have a good answer and then listen as they fumble through a response." Wow. Yeah, that never happened to me. That's crazy. That's horrible. I mean, I know what they're trying to get at here. Tell me why red goes faster. Well, they're testing your knowledge of the hobby. They're testing like whether you are really immersed and happy to explain something to somebody who doesn't know anything about Warhammer. The Space Marine 2, the reason why he's asked what is a Space Marine is because he wants you to market Space Marines. So, you know, if you go into him like, "Hey, yeah," and you're letting him know what a Space Marine is, and you're sounding really enthusiastic, and you're not using jargon or memes, you know, so basically what Games Workshop want you to do is talk to everybody like they're 5, essentially. So if you said to that trainer, that manager who's testing you, you know, "Oh, they're really cool. They're these guys who are superhuman warriors who..." And you talk about it like it's a Saturday morning cartoon. Sold. You got the job, right? But yeah, he's targeting neckbeards to get him out of there, essentially, because he knows they won't be able to come back at him with anything. Anyway, after this and some other weirdness, they take us one by one into an office and give a more proper interview. "Tell us about yourself. Show us your CV, etc." Okay, that's another thing that's different. So the CV never came up in my interview. They didn't care about it whatsoever. They genuinely don't care about what I've done before in my career. They don't. As long as I haven't been in prison, they don't care, right? It's all about, can we mould you into being a successful Games Workshop manager or staff member? That's it. That's all they care about. I thought mine had gone well, and was over the moon when the district manager called me a week later to meet him for another interview. And a second one, again, I never got second interviews either. I got the first one, and then that was it. We chatted, very usual interview stuff. During the talk, he'd asked me questions about my CV, one of which was working at a natural history museum whilst in university. I explained I'd give tours to school groups, and somehow we touched them on how I'd imitate an antelope call because the kids really liked it. He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Do it." "Do what?" I said. "The call. Do it." A little uncomfortable, I nevertheless burst out into a loud antelope call, silencing the store we were in as people gave me a "what the fuck" look. I was told later that one reason I ended up being hired is because I'd been willing to make a fool of myself in public. Hurrah for me. And additionally, the managers asking people random questions wasn't to test knowledge, but to see if they'd have the confidence to attempt to answer at all. There you go, see? So yeah, exactly what I said. That's exactly what they were doing. Very weird way to do an interview, but again, I guess you are in the US, I think, Natner, so I guess that's kind of normal for you guys? I don't know. Sounds like Glee Club to me. Sounds a bit weird. But yeah, in the UK, we generally went for an interview. It was a very nice interview. The two that I got the job, you know, my staff interview, my manager's interview, were incredibly lovely interviews, and we had a really fun time, and I got the job. The one where I didn't get the job, it was very much like it was an ice cold interview where, you know, I was going to leave. My contract was running out, and I was very happy to leave. I went in there, put my best foot forward, went for it, tried to get the job just to see if they would give me it. But their reception was really, really cold from all of the previous problems that we'd already had with each other. So, you know, I never got that. And to be fair, things worked out properly. You know, I shouldn't have even gone to the interview, to be honest with you. But yeah, I wanted a free trip to Warhammer World. That's what I thought, and it was. You know, they paid for me to go there. They paid for me to stay the night. Pfft, yeah, better than nothing, isn't it? Anyway, now in the second story. Sometime into my tenure as a Games Workshop manager, I was invited to help with interviews. I felt like I was finally part of the big boys club and drove my happy ass down to the flagship store to participate. I was placed with a small team of 2 other managers, and we bring candidates into the office and talk to them. We got a lot of random people, hobbyists wanting to change the company from within, desperate servers who do anything for a different job. We even had a weirdo who told us his dream job was to be an axe murderer. Okay. And when we asked follow-up questions, he explained how he hated women for costing him everything. He was not asked for another interview. Yeah, no shit. Anyway, not talking about them, talking about a different person. This fellow was unassuming to look at, and nothing seemed off at first, until we asked him a question about his previous employment. He'd take out a pocket watch, wave it around for a second or two, and then put it away. Only then would he answer our question. Myself and the other managers exchanged the look of, did that actually happen? Sorry, just taking a drink. Collecting ourselves, we asked another question. Same thing. He swings around the pocket watch before putting it away and answering the question. Wow, okay. The curiosity is too much. We have to ask. So I do. Hey mate, what's with the whole pocket watch thing? He goes on to explain in serious detail how he is a time traveller and the watch is his time displacement device. When he swings it around, he is freezing time so he can think of an appropriate answer to our questions. You can't make this shit up. I mean, did he get the job? You don't tell us whether he got the job or not. A final story to wrap this up. Something silly. Okie dokie. When I was a red shirt, I worked a while at another Games Workshop store. Wayne's store. Yeah, Wayne is a bit of a weirdo from all the stories. But anyway. It was a great little shop with a fantastic manager and a healthy community. Around this time, the Mines of Moria set was the starter box for the Lord of the Rings game, and the company had asked us to paint multiple sets to be sent out to various other hobby centres. I slogged my way through hordes of goblins, hobbits, and so many Aragorns my eyes bled. Finally, I was done and bundled everything off with a sigh of relief. The next day I returned to work to realise we had forgotten about a Gandalf. Some poor centre was going to be down a mini. Feeling cheeky and tired of painting everything according to the box, I decided to paint this Gandalf how I wanted. Purple robe, gold cane, a straight 70s pimp in Middle-earth. The manager saw my creation and just rolled his eyes, declaring I wouldn't be showcasing that travesty in his store. Oh, only if he knew. I managed to sneak the purple wizard into the display case and there he remained, overseeing all the fancy new releases, until one day a hobbyist was naming off everything in the case when he got stumped by the purple wizard. Who's that? They asked, and the manager perked up. I knew they'd make me remove my creation, so to quote better authors, I thought up a lie, and I thought it up quick. Oh, that's Gandor. You don't know who Gandor is? From there I spun a complicated web of such bullshit. See, Gandor was from the appendices of Lord of the Rings. There was no one who knew about him. He was a fabled purple wizard. Tolkien only mentions there in the appendices once. I painted the model as a super deep nerd reference that only cool people would get. The BS went so deep that the manager wasn't even sure what was real and what wasn't, and by the time the hobbyist full on believed every word. For a while, Gandor became a mascot of the store, Every beginner mega battle, he'd show up. Sometimes helping the players with his crazy pimp magic, other times he'd be a villain. One time, teaming up with a Trigon to wreak havoc on some Imperial bastions. When I left the store, I think I left Gandor behind, a token for future gamers and hobbyists. Hopefully, he gave a few people more laughs and a little bit of joy. Oh, how nice is that? That's lovely. Alright, so, Wolf Lord is back. Not that kind of Wolf Lord, the nice kind. And his story is titled A Model Meets the Blood God. And when I say a model, we're not talking about somebody bleeding over a Citadel model, but I will explain. Wolf Lord says, Hello Exile. Now this story is back from the late 1990s. My guess would be 1999, but I'm not sure. Okay, before I get into this, Wolf Lord is German, and so English is his second language, so if I trip up, it's because I'm trying to make sense of what's written. So, you know, cut them some slack. Back then, there existed a friendly hobby shop at a place in Frankfurt am Main, where such places usually never exist. From my experience, stores that sell tabletop and role-playing games are usually found in small alleys, or at least not on the main posh places in the city. But this one store actually made it into the Zelle which was a very special mall, a beautiful building made out of glass and steel, right in the centre of Frankfurt, that unfortunately got demolished because of the amount of stairways and levels meant the rents were too high for the upper decks. Now, when this happened, I was a young lad and new to the whole hobby stuff, so I just walked around the store when there was a tournament starting, the first one I'd ever seen. It was, of course, a Warhammer Fantasy Battles 4th edition tournament, and I had to stay and watch. Now, back in the day, things were even more reclusive around tabletops than they were when I really started to play in tournaments. So all these guys were grown men, old enough to spend money on such things, which was the usual thing at the time, since kids had not yet gotten into the hobby, really, at least not in Germany. And of course, all of these guys wore the standard neckbeard uniform of the time. A metal shirt from around 1984 that had not seen water or soap since the Berlin Wall had come down. The most memorable of the tournament players was Steve, a 6'8" behemoth of a man with a long and thick red beard, who will have a role to play later on. Yeah, this guy reminds me of Dragon Lord, if you know who he is. Go and watch Count Dankula's video on Dragon Lord. You will not be disappointed. He is also German and very, very funny. And very, very disgusting, but also very, very funny. Now that the stage is set, let's move on to the horrible, absolute bizarre thing that took place. Right when the final round of the tournament was starting, and all the nerds were completely focused on the battle between Steve and his Chaos Army and another guy with his High Elves, a true supermodel wandered into the store. Now, I am talking like Claudia Schiffer level of beauty here. She was around 28, about my height, 5'11", 180 centimeters, which for a man is like the 4th place in the Olympic sports when it comes to dating, but for a woman is of course quite tall, especially as she was also wearing high heels, therefore towering over everybody in the store except for Steve. She was dressed like a businesswoman and smelled like an angel. Oh, smelled? Come on, dude. Don't make it weird. Well, yeah, that's made the whole story so fucking weird. Ugh. Don't smell people when they're walking past. Well, our reaction was exactly the same as like we'd seen actual angel wings on her. Since her aura demanded respect, nobody made a sound. Some of the grown men even kept staring at their dice while she levitated by us, deeper into the store, very much unfazed by the geekiness around her. After she walked past us, we all pretty much decided, as we looked at each other, this cannot be happening. Since the rest of the men in the store were married or too old anyways, they just returned to the final round of the tournament. But I had to know what just happened and decided to follow her. Not weird at all. Now, considering I was about 15 years old, I had no illusions about this girl being interested in me at all, which I used to my advantage, since I was also a non-threat, so she did not notice me. This better not go into a dark area, man, I'm telling you now. My mind was running wild. What is she doing here? Did she somehow have this place mixed up with a Chanel store next door? this is a really, like, night fancy mall, so maybe this is what happened. Is this hobby store maybe not only for geeks, but also hot girls who are into this too? Or more realistically, did I somehow step into another dimension where all this makes sense? Now, while I was watching here, she even started to check out some of the boxes. I think they were Bretonian knights or something. Quite expensive stuff, which she handles with such grace, as if she was the maiden of the sea herself. My God, dude, you are simping hard. She is looking for something to buy maybe she is looking for something to buy for a little brother or a nephew. That's what it is. What it has to be, was my thought. My next thought was, or maybe her son. No way she had kids with that elven waist. Oh my God. But all my wondering and guessing was for naught. Because it was right at this moment where she was about to choose something, and I could have seen whether or not she wanted it wrapped up like as a present, or whether she was taking it for herself, when the battle between Steve and the other guy reached its climax. Steve's bloodthirster had just charged the other guy's Tyrion, and while the elven legend is what is of course a formidable warrior, that day he stood no chance against the champion of Khorne, who smashed him with his 10 attacks in one round. In that moment, Steve decided it was his time to shine. So, all of his 6 foot 8 inches, and I would guess 500 pounds, stood up and he roared, "Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne," at the top of his lungs. Please also read the German version. Blut für den Blutgott, Schädel für den Schädeltron. Right? Okay. Needless to say, this was too much for even thus far for our very composed and cool Claudia Schiffer lookalike. She looked like she had just seen an actual dragon erupting out of a lake and started to walk out of the store as hastily as her high heels allowed her to do, never to be seen again. Yeah, I know. I mean, you know, hobbyists are weirdos. Who'd have thought? But yeah, don't sniff people when they're walking past. Weird, even for a 15-year-old. Don't do that. But those are my hobby nightmares for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Love you all a long time. I'm going to go because I am very tired. I've been working all week and I'm starting to flag. So, I've had my coffee. I'm going to try and go and get some rest. Love you all a long time. Have a really good weekend. You get some rest too. Maybe I'll see you the weekend for the prize draw. Or maybe we'll do it on Monday. I don't know. But we will be doing it this weekend. Love you all. See you later. Have a good one. Bye.